Right guys, welcome back to the channel and I am excited about these books. Of course, a massive thank you to Games Workshop for allowing us to preview these two very good books indeed. Before we move on to them, there is two videos out today. One of them will review Codex Chaos Space Marines 2. The other one will review VIGILUS Ablaze. So if you want to see what is in both of them, go and check out both videos. Before we go any further though guys, I want to say a massive thank you to everybody that has supported the channel over the last 4 years. It's unbelievably only our 4th birthday this week. So thank you to everybody that has supported. Make sure you are subscribed on YouTube. Give us a follow on Twitch for hobby streams as they happen. If you're interested in any merchandise, click the link to Spreadshirt down below. Check out Battle Bunker and Demonscapes, who sponsor the channel as well. And of course, check out the darkartisan.co.uk. So, we're going to take a look in Vigilus Ablaze. And I nearly dropped something when I was reading the fluff. I don't read a lot of fluff, but this is something I had to read. I need to know what happened near the end. I'm not going to tell you, but go and read the fluff. Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's all I'll say. As far as rules go, there's absolutely loads and loads going on in this book, right? So not only have you got all of the background between all the units and the factions and everything that's taken place in here, you've got backgrounds about each of the war zones, and there's a lot of war zones as well. There's campaign rules, so if you want to build up a full campaign, there's campaign points, there's different rounds that you can play depending on who wins and who loses in each of the fights. You move on to different missions, and there's a lot of ways that you can go through it. It's a lot to read and take in if you're interested in the campaign. I won't be covering the campaign, unfortunately. We simply don't have time between everything else that we do on the channel, unfortunately, but it looks very good stuff. There's actually a lot of narrative missions as well. You've got 6 Crucible of War missions and 6 Echoes of War missions. Each one has a very unique deployment type, as well as between 6 and 8 different stratagems to take place on each of the games. There's also kill zone rules as well, which if you're familiar with Age of Sigmar, it's basically like realm rules. They're called battle zones. So depending on where you're fighting, you get additional stratagems, and certain things can happen throughout the game on a dice roll as well. So lots and lots of stuff that can go on. For example, you've got Field of Nightmares. You've got the Dirk Den Hive Sprawl, which is again one of the war zones where Vigilus is taking place on. Lots of additional rules. Very thematic if you want to base your games around Vigilus and really forge that narrative. So much information to pour over, guys, but you know, if you love your narrative player, that is definitely where this book is made. Absolutely fantastic on that. But you guys want to know about the match play rules, as well as, of course, all the faction rules and everything in there as well. So there's a lot of changes to units in here. There's also a lot of specialist detachments. I think there's about 12 specialist detachments. We've also got rules for all 6 Renegade Chapters as well, which, you know, that's massive. So as with Vigilus Part 1, it does cost you a command point to open up these specialist detachments, which gives you access to a different relic, warlord trait, and 2 other stratagems. If your warlord takes a standard warlord trait, you can pay an extra command point to give another character the warlord trait from that detachment as well. So nothing has changed in that respect. So we're going to start first by looking at the units. So we've got a Abaddon the Despoiler. He got an extra wound and he got an extra strength. I believe the damage for Draconian changed from D3 to 3. And the Talon of Horus is now -4 AP instead of -3. We've got the Lord Discordant, which is the guy on the new Venom Crawler type thing. He does have 12 wounds, guys. You can target him. But he does have a lot of different weapon options. So a Lord Discordant is on a Hellstalker as a single model armed with an autocannon, bolt pistol, impaler, chainglaive, mecha tendrils, frag grenades and crack grenades. The Hellstalker is also armed with bladed limbs and tail and a Technovirus injector. So the Hellstalker can replace its Technovirus injector with a Magma Cutter. Magma Cutter is pistol 1, 6-inch, strength 8, minus 4, 3 damage. The Technovirus injector, however, is strength plus 4, which makes him strength 8, minus 4 d3 damage, and basically you get to make an additional attack with that. If you wound a vehicle successfully, you suffer an additional d3 mortal wounds, as well as the damage. The bladed limbs and tails is strength plus 3, so 7, minus 2 d3 damage. And you can make a number of attacks based on the damage chart, and you start with 5 attacks, dropping to 4 and 3. He does move 12 inches, and he's toughness 6 with a 2-up save as well. He is demonic, so he has a 5-up invulnerable save, and he heals 1 wound a turn. The autocannon is just an autocannon. You can swap it for a Bale Flamer, which is again just a standard Hell Turkey Bale Flamer. But the Impaler Chainglaive is strength plus 2, minus 2, 2 damage. However, if you make a charge move, it is strength times 2 instead of plus 2. And the Mecha Tendrils, each time the bearer fights, it can make 2 additional attacks with this weapon. So I mean, he's got 4 base with the Impaler Chainglaive. You've then got 2 with the Mecha Tendrils, then 5 with the Bladed Limbs, and 1 with the Technovirus Injector as well. So he's pretty good, and that's in addition to his ranged weapon as well. He's also got the Aura of Discord. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by vehicle units whilst they're within 6 inches of any enemy models with this ability. In addition, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by Legion Demon Engines whilst they're within 6. So very, very handy. Seems most Demon Engines do hit and shoot on 4s. And then we've got Spirit Thief. Each time this model destroys an enemy vehicle in the fight phase, this model can either repair a friendly Demon Engine or release a beam of energy. If you choose to repair a friendly Demon Engine, it must be within 3 inches and not have fly. The Demon Engine regains D3 wounds. If you choose to release a beam of energy, pick an enemy vehicle within 12 of the model and roll a D6, and on a 2+ it suffers D3 mortal wounds. So that's pretty handy. I think he's not a bad model at all. Another new model that we've got is the Master of Executioners. Master of Executions even. He's basically like a chaplain. He's got a big giant axe and a bit of a cloak. Weapon skill 2+, 4 wounds, 5 attacks, 3-up save. He's standard Space Marine basically. He does have Trophy Taker. Once per fight phase, you can re-roll 1 hit roll, wound roll, or damage roll for an attack made by this model that targets a character. And his weapon is the Axe of Dismemberment. So it's strength times 2, minus 3, d3 damage, but on a 6 to wound it does a mortal wound in addition. And he's got Warp Sighted Butcher. After the enemy has completed all of their charge moves, this model can perform a heroic intervention if it was in 3 of enemy models, or 6 if it's within range of a character. If he's within 6 of a character, he can move up to 6 when he heroically intervenes, but he must finish his move within an inch of the nearest enemy character. So he's alright. He's a little bit like a sort of lieutenant-esque type of guy. Something that's been previewed on the Warhammer community page is the Dark Apostle and the Dark Disciples. So the Dark Apostle has changed slightly. Basically, he chants prayers now, which there is 6 normal ones and then 4 specific god ones, as well as his own. So it's probably worth taking a couple of these guys. So statline hasn't changed, apart from they've got an Arcane Crozius, +1 strength, -1 and 2 damage. However, they've got the Demagogue. Friendly Legion units within 6 inches of this model can use this model's leadership, and he's got a 4 invulnerable save. This model can chant prayers. It knows the Dark Zealotry power below, and 1 prayer from the prayers to the Dark Gods opposite. At the start of each battle round, you can pick 1 of the prayers this model knows and roll a d6. On a 3+, the prayer is heard. and the prayer takes effects until the end of that battle round. The same prayer cannot be chanted more than once per battle round by any number of models in your army, whether it is heard or not. So it's interesting that it says end of the battle round, which means if you're going second, the effects don't last throughout your opponent's next turn. Dark Zealotry, however, if this prayer is heard, you can reroll hit rolls in the fight phase for attacks made by friendly Legion units whilst they are within 6 inches of this priest. And you've got the Dark Disciples as well. They're basically cultists with 5-up armor. And it says only one unit of Dark Disciples can be included in your army for each Dark Apostle. And they do not take up a detachment slot. Whilst this unit is within 2 inches of any friendly Legion Dark Apostles, enemy models can only shoot this unit if it is the closest enemy unit. Ignore characters with wounds of less than 10 when determining. So yeah, you can't shoot these guys unless they're the closest. So basically, they count as characters, even though they don't have... You know, it'd just been easier to give them the character keyword. While any Legion Dark Disciple units are within 2 inches of a friendly Legion Dark Apostle, add 1 to the dice rolls to see if the prayers are answered. That means you've got it on a 2+. So the prayers are interesting because you can't stop them with psychic powers. So there's no way to stop them. They're not a stratagem, so you can't even vex them. So I think you're going to see a lot of Dark Apostles running alongside Havocs and probably some Obliterators as well. But the prayers that we've got: Benediction of the Darkness, pick a friendly Legion unit within 6, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by ranged weapons that target that unit. Litany of Despair: if the prayer is heard, your opponent rolls 2d6 and discarding the lowest result for each time they have to make a morale check whilst the priest is within 6. Omen of Potency: attacks add 3 to the priest's attack characteristics. In addition, if the prayer is heard, the priest's melee weapons have an armor penetration value of -4. It's not bad. That gives him 6 attacks at strength 5, -4, 2 damage each. Warp Sight Plea: pick a friendly Legion unit within 6, add 1 to the hit rolls made for ranged weapons. Soul Terror Portent: if this prayer is heard, pick 1 Legion unit within 6. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And then you've got Illusory Supplication. Friendly Legion units within 6 inches have a 5-up invulnerable save, and it's within, not wholly within. It's also models. The Corn one: if this prayer is heard, add 2 to the priest's strength. Mutating Invocation for Zinch: he regains D3 wounds, but the wounds are kept for the rest of the battle, and obviously you count up and down, so that's not just a battle round sustained effect. Feculent Beseechment: add 2 to the priest's toughness. And Blissful Devotion: the priest can advance and charge in this battle round. So pretty cool. Chaos Space Marines: the data slate has been updated from Shadowspear. You can take them in units of 5, guys. Nothing has changed in the way that you can upgrade the unit, so it's still 1 heavy or special weapon per 5 Marines. You can still take the Chaos Icon. I'm just wondering, it says you can take weapons from the heavy weapon list, and I'm wondering... No, the Reaper Chain Cannon cannot be taken by Fallen. So yeah, Tactical Marines, Chaos Space Marines can take the new Reaper Chain Cannon. It's 20 points, it's strength 8, -1, 1 damage. Sorry, it's strength 5 and it's 8 shots, it's heavy 8, but it is only range 24. It's okay if you're going to leave a squad of Chaos Space Marines back, but I would put them on Havocs. If you want to know why I put them on Havocs, go and check out the Chaos Space Marine Codex review and you'll find out why. Terminators, from what I could gather, I don't think the data slate changed, but because they're getting new models, that is why the data slate is included in this book. Havocs, again, must be getting new models, and in fact, I'm going to mention it here. They've got a rule called Stabilization Talons.
This unit can move and fire heavy weapons without suffering the penalty to their hit rolls. That is fantastic. So if you use that prayer to get +1 to hit with your ranged weapons, what was it, Warp Sight Plea, and then take a unit of Havocs with 3 Reaper chain guns, with 4 Reaper chain guns, make them mark a Slanesh so you can Endless Cacophony and stick a Lord nearby. It means you've got 32 shots, hitting on 2s, re-roll on 1s. And then use Veterans of the Long War as well on top of that, and then shoot twice. That's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. So the scenery piece, the Noctilith Crown, it's 100 points, right? And it does have toughness 8, 14 wounds, 3 up save. And it's got lashing warp energies, range 6 inches, pistol d6, strength 7, -2, 2 damage. Abilities. Any Psychers attempting to manifest a power within 24 of this suffer perils of the warp on any double rolled, not a double 1 or a double 6. Sorry, not just a double 1 or double 6. Chaos Psychers are unaffected. Loathsome Aura units have a 5+ invulnerable save whilst the holy within 6 inches in this model. In addition, you can reroll psychic tests for Chaos Psychers whilst they're within 6. At the start of the second and third battle rounds, the range of both these aura abilities increase by 3, i.e. it is 9 in the second round and 12 in the third round. Stick those Havocs near this and, you know, in cover as well. They're going to be hard to shift. I think it's a decent terrain piece. And like any other terrain piece, it's automatically hitting the fight phase and it can explode, doing d6 mortal wounds within d6 inches. The other rules that we've got is Skull Taker and Bloodmaster, and again I couldn't see any rules changes. I've looked at Codex Demons and I can't see any changes in here, but again I suspect to put them in because of the release of the 2 new models. We've also got the Skull Altar as well, the 40k rules for this, and I think this is pretty cool, okay? It is 100 points again, so I think it's a little costly, but after it's set up, it can't be for any reason, basically rules of a building. If a Skull Altar is summoned using Demonic Ritual and set up with its base touching the base of a Khorne Demon infantry character that performed the ritual, you can immediately place that character on the Skull Altar's platform. A Skull Altar cannot be set up on an objective marker and must be more than an inch away from the terrain. A model's Locus of Rage ability, which is the for Khorne, it is reroll charges whilst you're within 6 of a hero. It's increased to 12 instead of 6 whilst there are whilst they are within 8 inches of any Skull Altars. So basically you could have a Khorne Demon 8 inches away from the Skull Altar, and then he's got a 24-inch reach to the other side. So suddenly you've got a very, very good reach with that over what you would have normally had. And subtract 1 from psychic tests taken for Psychers whilst they're within 8 inches of the altar. You can also re-roll any number of dice when making a summoning roll for Chaos character from your army that is within 8 inches of it. And the Champion of Murder. If a Khorne Demon infantry character is on the platform, the Skull Altar is said to be occupied by the character. Improve the character's invulnerable save by 1 to a maximum of 3+. In addition, while a Khorne Demon unit is wholly within 16 of an occupied Skull Altar, add 1 to its attack characteristic. That is huge. 3 attacks per bloodletter whilst you're wholly within 16 of that is massive. Absolutely massive. And then of course you've got the reroll charge. You're going to have the +1 strength from the character that's going to be on top. Possibly the +1 hit depending on who you take. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. So points values. Abaddon is still 240. The Dark Apostle is now 100 and the Disciples are 5 each. Havocs are 14. The Lord of Discordant on Hellstalker is 150, but that does not include his war gear, so we'll have a look at them in a second. The Noctilith Crown is 100, and Terminators are 26 each base. Bloodmaster is 56, Skull Taker is 84. The Technovirus Injector is free. The Impaler Chainglaive is free. Bladed Limbs and Tail is free. So you're only paying for the auto cannon or the magma cutters, depending on what you take on the Lord Discordant. So for 160 points base with the auto cannon, he's not that bad. He's not that bad at all. Now, detachments. Like I said, there is a lot here. I will cover each one, and I'll just mention the two stratagems, the Warlord trait and the relic that's here, and what is included in the stratagems, in the detachment. So we've got Bringers of Despair. It's for a Black Legion detachment. Black Legion Terminators gain the Bringers of Despair keyword. You can reroll hit rolls of 1. Sorry, this is the Warlord trait. Reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks made by friendly Bringers of Death, whilst they are within 6 inches of your Warlord. If your Warlord has the Lord of Chaos ability, you can instead reroll hit rolls for attacks made by Bringers whilst they're within 6. So basically, it upgrades a Lord to a Chapter Master, essentially. The relic is the 4 Cleaver. It's a Power Axe. And it's strength +3, -2, D3 damage, but you get to add 1 to hit rolls made when you target an Imperium unit. So it's okay. Stratagems, however, Brutal Subjugation. Use the stratagem at the start of your fight phase, pick a Bringers of Despair unit. Each enemy model slain by this unit in this phase counts as 2 models in the subsequent morale phase. It's okay, but there's that much that ignores morale, or only 1 model runs. I don't think it's great. Chosen Enforcers. Use the stratagem when a friendly heretic Astartes unit is within 18 of a Bringer of Despair unit. When he's required to take a morale test, that unit automatically passes morale. So you've got a 1 CP auto pass morale instead. We've got the Devastation Battery. So this is for Chaos Lords, Warpsmiths, Havocs, and Obliterators. They all gain the Devastation Battery keyword. And I think this is what we're probably going to see quite a bit of. So the Warlord trait is called Armor Bane. Reroll wound rolls of a 1 for attacks made by friendly Devastation Battery units whilst they're within 6 of your Warlord if they target a vehicle. So reroll the wound is very good. At the start of your shooting phase, pick a friendly Devastation Battery unit within 6 of the bearer. Enemy units do not receive the benefit of cover. And that's the relic called the Demon's Eye. The stratagems, we've got Wall Breakers. Pick a Devastation Battery unit from your army. You can reroll damage rolls for attacks made with ranged weapons that target buildings. It's okay, but like I said, it's very, very narrative. You see so few buildings these days that it's unlikely to be seen. But then you've got Punishing Volley. Use this stratagem at the end of your opponent's first movement phase. If you did not have the first turn, pick a Devastation Battery unit from your army. That unit can shoot as if it was the shooting phase. Endless Cacophony, Veterans of the Long War, anybody? So, yeah, again, it's your opponent's first movement phase, so whether you go first or second, it's still good. And being able to shoot with all of them buffs on, and then do it again in your opponent's turn. If you've got that big unit of Havocs, that's going to be nasty. Like, really nasty. We've got Cult of the Damned. This is for Dark Apostles, Dark Disciples, Chaos Cultists. Gain the Cult of the Damned keyword. The Warlord trait is Exultant Preacher. You can reroll charge rolls for friendly cult units. Cult of the Damned units whilst they're within 6 inches of your Warlord. It's okay. And then we've got the Inferno Tome. It's a ranged weapon. And it replaces any ranged weapon. So it's range 8, assault d6, strength 5, -1 d3, and automatically hits the target. So basically it's a heavy flamer with d3 damage. Stratagems, we've got Ritual Offerings. Use this stratagem when an enemy model is destroyed by an attack made by a Cult of the Damned Chaos Cultist unit from your army in the fight phase. That Chaos Cult unit automatically passes morale for the rest of the battle. That is massive. That's massive. I think you might see that with Tide of Traitors a couple of times. We've got Chorus of the True Faith. Use the stratagem when a Cult of the Damned Dark Apostle from your army chants a prayer. If there are any friendly Cult of the Damned Chaos cult units within 6 of that Dark Apostle, add 1 to the dice roll to see if the prayer is heard. So all of a sudden you can get prayers off automatically because it's on a 1+. It does not say anywhere that your prayers fail on a 1. It just says on a 3+. So if you're adding 2, a 1 becomes a 3. I think you're going to see a couple of Dark Apostles with a couple of different prayers. I think it's handy. I think it's very handy. We've got Daemonkin Ritualist, and this is for Dark Apostle, Dark Disciple, Master of Possession, Possessed, Greater Possessed, and again the Daemonkin Ritualist keyword. The Warlord trait is the Shepherd of the True Faith. Each time you roll an unmodified wound roll of a 6 for an attack made with a melee weapon by a friendly Daemonkin Ritualist unit within 6 of your Warlord, it inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition. And then the Burning Rod is a Force Stave. And it replaces the Force Stave. So it's Strength +3, -1, D3 damage. At the end of the fight phase, you can pick a unit within 1 inch of the bearer. That unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Cool. You've got Vessels of the Neverborn for the first stratagem. Use the stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Pick a Daemonkin Ritualist unit from your army that is within 6 inches of a Daemonkin Ritualist Master of Possession. Add 1 to the strength and attack characteristics of models in the unit you picked until the end of the phase. So if you're running a lot of Possessed, that's not bad. You've then got Souls of the Devoted. Use the stratagem at the start of your movement phase. Pick a unit whilst they're within 6 inches of a character. Roll a D3. The Possessed unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the result. The character then regains a number of lost wounds equal to the result. It's okay. You've got the Soulforged Pack, which is for Warpsmith and Demon Engines, and they gain the Soulforged Pack keyword. So the Master of the Soulforge's Warlord trait, add 2 to the movement characteristics of Soulforged Pack Demon Engines whilst they're within 6 inches of your Warlord. Just want to point out as well, the Lord Discordant has the Warpsmith keyword as well, and he can pretty much keep up with these guys. I would love to see like Forge Fiends, Mauler Fiends, and Soul Grinders and stuff all trundling up the board with the Discordant behind them. I think that would be really cool. The Relic is a Mecha Serpents, and it replaces the Mecha Tendrils. So you only make 1 attack with this, but you make 1 attack for each enemy model within an inch. It's Strength +1, so it makes them Strength, I think, 5 or 6. -1, 2 damage. That's pretty good, especially if you've got multiple Lord of Discordance. Stratagem-wise, you've got Demon Forge Overdrive. Use this stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Pick a Soulforged Pack Demon Engine in your army. Double the number of wounds that the model has remaining for the purposes of determining what characteristic to use on the damage table. This stays in effect until the end of the phase or until the model is reduced to 0 wounds, whichever occurs first. So that's pretty good. So say you've got a Mauler Fiend down on 2 wounds, you can use that to count him as having 4 wounds. Or if he's down on 4, you can count him as having 8. Infernal Engines. Use this stratagem at the start of the charge phase. Pick a Soulforged Demon Pack engine from your army. That model can charge in this phase even if it advanced. So you've got the extra 2-inch movement. You then advance in and you can then charge as well. Like, that's really good. Host Raptorial. I want to like this, but I can't. You'll understand why. So it's for Legion Jump Pack units, again the Host Raptorial keyword, so that'd be for Warp Talons as well. The Warlord trait, add 2 to charge rolls made for friendly Host Raptorial units whilst they're within 6. You absolutely need that if you're going to be running this. And then the Chiropteran Wings. Roll a d6 each time for each enemy unit that was moved across by the bearer in the movement phase. And on a 4+ they suffer d3 mortal wounds. It's okay. But the stratagems. Use this stratagem when a Host Raptorial unit from your army was set up on the battlefield at the end of the movement phase. Okay. You can re-roll hit rolls for attacks made by that unit until the end of the turn. If you go and shoot your raptors, it's alright. But if you go in combat, it's useless. Because there's no guarantee you're going to make that 9-inch charge. There's no guarantee you're going to make a 7-inch charge if you've got your Warlord there. It's not reliable enough, in my opinion. You've then got Terror Strike. Use this stratagem when an enemy unit is destroyed by a host Raptorial unit from your army. Subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of enemy units whilst they're within 6 inches until the end of the turn. That is so situational. So you've got to have 2 units next to each other, but you've got to kill one to then do it, which... yeah. Wow, we've still got a lot to go, guys. Fallen Angels is the one for Fallen. Cypher gets an extra rule if he's in this detachment. So enemy units within 12 of Cypher cannot use abilities, warlord traits or relics that allow them to return or refund or gain command points. The range of this ability is increased to 18 whilst there's 10 or more friendly Fallen Angels within 12, or it's increased to 24 if there is 20 or more Fallen Angels models within 12 Cypher. The relic is the relic of Lost Caliban. Sorry, it's the Caliban Steel Blade, and it's for a Force Sword. It's basically the same, but it's -3 D3 damage, and on a wound roll of a 6+, the weapon has a damage characteristic of D6 instead of D3. It's okay. Stratagems, we've got pick a Fallen Angels unit from your army that is entirely on or within a terrain feature. Subtract 1 from the hit rolls for attacks that target the unit until the end of the phase. It's alright. It's a little bit like enhanced reflexes that the Eldar have got, but you've got to be wholly within the terrain. And we've also got Ancient Enmity. I can't say that. Enmity. Use the stratagem when you pick a Fallen Angels unit from your army to fight with. You can reroll wound rolls for attacks made by this unit that target Dark Angels units. It's okay. You're probably never going to see it though. Legion of Skulls. This is for Khorne Demons. People might like this one, I think. So the Warlord trait, add 1 to your Warlord's attack characteristic. In addition, whilst there are enemy characters within 6 inches of your Warlord, add another one. And that's particularly handy if you've got one of those 2 heralds that allow you to reroll hits and wounds against characters. The relic though, the Gore Plate, roll a d6 at the end of the fight phase for any enemy models that were slain by the bearer, adding 2 to the result if any of the slain models were characters. On a 4+, the bearer gains d3 lost wounds. It's okay. The stratagems though. Use this the Brazen Skull. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Pick a Legion of Skulls model from your army. Pick an enemy unit within 8 inches of this model that is visible to them. Roll a d6. If the result equals or exceeds this model's ballistic skill, that enemy unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. It's not bad because if you've got, like, for example, Custodies, that's going to be handy because obviously they hit on 2s. So you're almost guaranteed to do d3 mortal wounds, which is what you need to do for Custodies. It basically gives you a Hellfire Shell almost. And then the other one, the Red Tide, is 2 command points. Use this stratagem in your charge phase. Pick an enemy unit that was charged by a Legion of Skulls unit from your army this phase. You can add 2 to charge rolls for other Legion of Skulls units from your army that declare a charge against the same enemy unit, but do not declare charges against other enemy units until the end of the phase. It's okay, but 2 CP to add 2 to the roll, I don't know. If you get lucky in the Deep Strike and Bloodthirsters and things like that, yeah, it could come in handy. But then that's 3 CP. Well, no, because you get the free reroll actually, yeah. Yeah, you're basically spending another 2 CP to allow you to get a 7-inch charge, which, it's okay, it's okay. So, Black Legion. Nothing's really changed with the whole Allegiance abilities, apart from Cultists have got the Mere Mortal special rule, which means units do not gain the Black Crusaders Legion trait, which means no more advancing and shooting Cultists. We've got 8 specific stratagems, we've got 6 specific relics as well, specific to the Black Legion, of course. So Let the Galaxy Burn uses stratagem when a Black Legion infantry or biker unit from your army is picked to attack in the shooting or fight phase. You can reroll all hit rolls of a 1. If the unit is a Chaos Space Marine unit, you can reroll all failed hits instead. That's not bad, especially if you're rerolling failed hits when shooting. You've got Chosen of the Pantheon. Use this stratagem at the start of your turn. Pick a Black Legion unit from your army, and you can basically give it a god-specific keyword if you didn't at the beginning of the game. You've got World Killers. Use this stratagem at the start of any battle round. Until the end of that battle round, enemy units cannot use any abilities that allow them to control an objective marker if there are any Black Legion units from your army within 3 of the centre of an objective, even if there are more models. So you can't control, you basically stop somebody from controlling an objective. It's 3 CP though. You've got Relics of the Long War, so just pick an extra 1 or 2 relics. Merciless Fighters, use it in the fight phase, pick a Black Legion unit. If you have more models in your unit than the enemy does within 3, you get an extra attack. Tip of the Spear, use this stratagem at the start of your first shooting phase. You can reroll hit rolls for Black Legion units from your army that is closest to the enemy unit until the end of the phase. If several units are equidistant, you can pick which one is affected. Legacy of Horus, use this stratagem at the start of the morale phase. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to leadership. Characteristics of Legion, accept Black Legion units from your army whilst they are within 6 of any friendly Black Legion units. So basically you can pass off the +1 leadership for a command point. And Council of Traitors, use this stratagem before the battle. If your warlord is Black Legion, Chaos Lord, Demon Prince, or Abandon the Despoiler, pick up to 1 Black Legion Dark Apostle and up to 1 Black Legion Sorcerer and generate a Warlord trait for each of them. You can only use the stratagem once per battle, and no 2 characters from your army can have the same Warlord trait. So that's pretty good. I know there's a few people got that now. There's Imperial Knights have it, and I think Dark Eldar have it as well. So that's pretty cool. Relics wise, we've got Goris Vex's Teeth. It just replaces a chainsword. It's -3, 2 damage, and you make 2 additional attacks with the weapon. Each time you roll a wound roll of a 6 up for an attack made with this weapon, the target suffers 1 mortal wound in addition. That's not bad for a chainsaw if you're going against like Horde armies and stuff. Trophies of Slaughter, add 1 to the leadership characteristic of friendly Black Legion units whilst they're within 6. In addition, subtract 1 from enemies whilst they're within 6. The Sightless Helm, worsen the bearer's ballistic skill characteristic by 1, but improve the armor penetration of the bearer's melee weapons by 1. Angel's Bane, model with a combi bolter. It becomes Rapid 2, Strength 5, -2, 2 damage. However, if you target an Imperium model, it becomes 3 damage. That's brutal. That's really, really good. And of course it will benefit from the bolter beta rules as well. You've then got the Cloak of Conquest, add 1 to the bearer's strength, attack and leadership until the end of the battle. And you've got Spine Shiver Blade, which is a power sword, +1 strength, -3 and 1 damage, but you make an additional D6 attacks with the weapon. And then we've got the Warlord traits for the Black Legion as well. Veteran Raider, whilst they are within 6 inches of your Warlord, friendly Black Legion units can declare a charge even if they fell back. Indomitable, all damage suffered by your Warlord is halved. Black Clad Brute, add 1 to your Warlord's strength characteristics. In addition, after your Warlord makes a charge move, pick an enemy unit within 1 inch and roll a D6, and on a 4+, the enemy suffers D3 mortal wounds. Soul Eater, each time your Warlord destroys an enemy unit, your Warlord immediately regains D3 lost wounds. Trusted War Leader, whilst your Warlord is on the battlefield, roll a D6 each time you spend a command point to use a stratagem, and on a 5+, that command point is immediately refunded. And then First Amongst Traitors, Death to the False Ember ability triggers an extra attack on the roll of a 5 instead of a 6 for models in friendly Black Legion units whilst they're within 6 of your Warlord. There's some good ones there. I mean, you're probably going to take Trusted War Leader, Veteran Raider, and probably First Among Traitors. or Black Clad Brute. I think you're going to take them three on three characters, which is pretty cool. If Abandon the Despoiler is your warlord, though, he must be given the First Amongst Traitors special rule, which, bearing in mind his weapons are pretty brutal anyway, that's really, really good for him. But that's not even all the rules, guys, because we've got 6 Renegade Chapters, which are absolutely fantastic. Some of the rules are really, really good. We've got a Warlord trait for each one, and we've got a Stratagem for each one, and a Relic for each one as well. So, Red Corsairs can advance and charge. In addition, if the detachment is 3 or more units, with this trait, the detachment command benefit is increased by 1 command point. However, if you have 3 units of Chaos Space Marines, it increases by 3. That means you get 11 command points for being Battleforged with a Red Corsair battalion. That is insanely good, and it's very, very quick and easy to run a double battalion with them. Crimson Slaughter, if a unit with this trait destroys an enemy unit, roll a d6. On a 5+, you gain 1 command point. In addition, the unit automatically passes morale tests. So, it's okay, but you can only get 1 command point back per battle round, and for the entire army to have that rule is a little bit odd. The Purge, Bringers of Oblivion, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by units with this trait that target an enemy unit that have lost 1 or more wounds already this turn. So basically, it's a little bit like the Tower one where you can get +1 to wound, just plink, plink, plink with your little weapons, and then all of a sudden you're rerolling the wound with everything else. We've got the Scourged Omniscient. You can reroll 1 hit roll for an attack made by a model in the unit with this trait each time it shoots or fights. In addition, when a unit with this trait fires Overwatch, they successfully hit on the roll of a 5 instead of a 6. Pretty cool. Brazen Beasts. Each time you make a wound roll of a 6+ for an attack made by this model with this trait in the fight phase, during a turn in which it was charged, or performed a heroic intervention, the hit is resolved with an AP of -4. So that's pretty good if you're going for a combat heavy one. Flawless Host, Death to the Imperfect. Each time you roll a hit of a 6+ for an attack made by a model with this trait in the fight phase, it can immediately make an extra attack using the same weapon. This is in addition to anything that is gained from Death to the False Emperor, but this works on everything. So your Renegade Warlord traits. For Red Corsairs, you can have 1 additional relic, but must be given to a Red Corsair character. The relic must be different to any relics already included in your army. In addition, each time your Warlord slays an enemy character, add 1 to your Warlord's attack characteristic until the end of the battle. So that's not bad. Crimson Slaughter gets subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of the enemy whilst they're within 6 of your Warlord. If your Warlord has slain enemy models, then until the end of the battle round, subtract 2, whilst they're within 9 of your Warlord instead. Situational. The Purge, reroll wound rolls of 1 for attacks made by your Warlord. In addition, you can reroll damage rolls for weapons used by your Warlord. The Scourged, at the start of each fight phase, you can pick an enemy unit that is within 3 of your Warlord. That unit cannot be picked to fight within the fight phase until after all other units to fight have done so. And of course, if it's got a rule that allows it to fight first, it basically counts as not having that rule. Much like when you would end up alternating Slanesh. Brazen Beasts, each time your Warlord slays a character, add 2 to your Warlord's strength and attack characteristic until the end of the battle. And Flawless Hosts, if your Warlord generates extra attacks as a result of their Death to the Imperfect trait, they can immediately make 3 additional attacks instead of only 1 against the same unit using the same weapon. Huh. I like that. I like that. That Warlord trait combined with the Serpent Tendrils on the Discordant, that's going to be brutal. If Huron Blackheart is your Warlord, he must be given Reaver Lord Warlord trait, which must be given the Reaver Lord. Oh, the Red Corsair one, of course. So the stratagems, and this is going to finish off the book, guys. More where they came from the Red Corsairs. Pick a Red Corsair unit at the start of your movement phase, sorry, the end of your movement phase, that is on the battlefield. Remove it from the battlefield and set it up wholly within 6 inches of the edge of the battlefield and more than 9 inches away. Starting at its full strength. 3 command points though, guys. And it doesn't say once per battle either. All life is worthless. Use this stratagem. This is for the purge, sorry. In your shooting phase, pick a purge unit that is not within an inch of an enemy model. That unit can target enemy models that are within an inch of friendly models until the end of that phase. But each time you make an unmodified hit roll of a 1 for such an attack, you resolve the attack against your models instead. For Brazen Beast, we've got Burning Demon Heart. Use the stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Pick an enemy unit that is within an inch of any Brazen Beast demon engines. Roll a d6, and on a 2 to 4 they suffer d3 mortal wounds. On a 5 to 6 it suffers 3 mortal wounds. Terrifying Phenomena. This is for Crimson Slaughter. Use this stratagem at the start of the enemy shooting phase. Pick a terrain feature that is within 12 of a Crimson Slaughter unit from your army. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by the enemy unit that are within 3 inches of the terrain feature until the end of the phase. It's very, very specific. Prescience on the Scourge, 2 command points. Use this stratagem after your opponent sets up a unit that is arriving on the battlefield as reinforcements. Pick a Scourged infantry unit from your army that is within 12. You can immediately shoot as if it was the shooting phase. It's 2 CP, you don't suffer the -1 like the Space Marines do. And then we've got the Flawless Host stratagem. We cannot fail. Use this stratagem when picking a Flawless Host infantry unit from your army to fight in the fight phase. Until the end of the phase, you can reroll hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. That is pretty cool. So, there's an awful lot of information in there, guys, and I think Chaos Soup is going to be absolutely ripe going forward. There's a lot of interesting builds that you could do here. I think the Hellforged Demon Pack 1, I think the one with the Devastators, not the Devastators, the Havocs and the Obliterators might be quite cool. And there's a lot of different ways and synergies that you can go through this book, and I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant. I need to get some Chaos painted up and fast because I'm really excited about this book, guys, and I really want to show you some of this cool stuff that's going on there. So I do want to say a massive thank you to Lucy, for, of course, for painting up the Shadow Spear stuff for me. You're an absolute godsend. Please check out the rest of the channel, guys. Please make sure you are subscribed, and of course check us out on Twitch for live hobby streams during the week and live games as well. But until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.